We are live for episode number 108 of Empire State of Baseball on Monday, October the 28th, 2024. We're airing on Instagram, X, and YouTube. And as always, powered by StreamYard. And as for now, it is a trio. We're waiting for Corey Favs to join us shortly. He got hit with the good old update. But yeah, a little bit of an updated look here. Since we're celebrating Halloween, we're celebrating the Yankees being in the World Series, and we're celebrating the fact that my manager put me in a game that I had no business being in game one. I'm Nestor Cortez, and this is Tom Wospil and Joe Pugliese. Tom, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I guess this time yesterday I was in the air. I was in the Dominican in the home of our beloved Juan Soto. I was hoping that I was going to bring some Dominican magic. This vendor gave me this necklace and I was wearing it, and I said it had the power of Juan Soto. Needless to say, I left it in the Dominican. I said it's bad juju. There's something bad coming off of this.
Yeah,
maybe it was a curse. I don't know. But I can promise you I left it there. So bad stuff left, good vibes brought back, and I'm ready to win tonight, and then keep winning from there.
If Tom was smart, he would have left that necklace in Queens when he arrived back at LaGuardia.
You couldn't pay me to go to LaGuardia.
No, I know. But listen, hey, we come into today. The Yankees are in what I would call a must-win scenario. Despite there being one more technical game after that, if they were to lose, only one team in Major League history, has come back from 3-0 down. That would be the aforementioned Boston Red Sox of 2004. So the odds would be surely stacked against the Yankees if they don't win tonight. And also, if the Yankees fall behind early, we could be looking at a 9-inning long wake at this point, but we'll see. It's going to be an interesting game for sure. Clark Schmidt on the mound, Walker Buehler on the mound for the Dodgers in an interesting game in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I mean it's right. It is essentially a must win. I could sell myself on the scenario that if they lose tonight, Dodgers go bullpen game tomorrow, they're going to punt that game. That's a win. Game 5 Cole, bring that momentum back to LA, but it's an uphill battle. But I'll say if the Yankees can win tonight, I do think the path is there with those two games. So we'll see what happens, man. It's been something so far.
We'll break down more of game 1 and game 2 and preview tonight's game 3. Clark Schmidt on the bump, opposing Walker Buehler tonight for game 3 of the World Series. But as always, let's take a look at our chat. And Jacob Petruzzi, check it in first. Smack that like and sub button for the fellas on your way in. We really do appreciate that. Our guy, Real LD50, also known as HL, I'm waiting, Rich, patiently. Everybody coming in early today. Sierra, what's up, y'all? Let's go Yankees. Pars, smack that like and subscribe. Appreciate you, Pars. Alana's in the building. A moment of silence to pray for the Yankees tonight, and hopefully we're praying for the best. And here comes the mustache regards. Bring Richard from the pen, says Jacob. Mustache Rich Rude in the house. Rich Rude. Okay, Rick Rude. I like that. Yes, from bullpen catcher to fake Thurman Munson, nobody could stop your shy boy. I don't know. Nestor, bullpen catcher. And we got some more comments coming in here. Aaron Rodgers, typically first words I hear is Joe spewing nonsense. Keith Diaz, good luck tonight. 5-4 New York Yankees. I like to hear that. And our guy Pars, again, whatever you're smoking, Tom, he's sending some my way. Win tonight. Yankees in 6. Got a response to Pars before we talk about Roback? Thomas?
I would love. Listen, I'm hopeful, right? I'm hopeful. It's all you can be at this point. I think the Yankees have a good chance tonight, right? They are the favorites if you want to look at betting lines. They're the favorites to win tonight, and then you just got to keep rolling that into the next game and be with the way the Dodgers are set up. It again, the path is there. They can't make dumb errors. We're going to get into the game, so they can't make dumb errors, and Aaron Judge needs to hit the ball. But if you can do those things, they can beat them.
Mike, you're not beating the Dodgers 4 straight. Just not happen. It's not happening.
You can.
Yankees in 7 or Yankees aren't winning.
Yankees could be up 2-0 right now. If little things go differently, they could be up 2-0 right now.
Our guy Corey Favs in the building. Before we go to Roback, Corey, what's going on, man?
Unbelievable. I started my computer an hour early because I know you always get the occasional update. Everything was fine. I had my email open. I had StreamYard open. Everything was good to go. And Norton decided to do a security update and everything. My computer was completely unresponsive for about 15 minutes. So
it's all right, Corey. We got you.
I love technology.
Back in multiple ways than one, Corey Favs. Not only back from that vicious update from Microsoft, but back from vacation. Hopefully, you had a great vacation out there with the fiance yourself. But I want to shout out before Tom talks about Roback. Well, I do want to shout out our very own Sierra Poteet for jumping in last week in Corey's seat. Did a great job. So shout out to Sierra if she's listening at home, and make sure to tune in on that episode 107 on YouTube. It was a great show last week. So Thomas, let's talk Roback.
Let's talk Roback. Because listen, it is fall time, and for as beautiful and lovely as those Roback polos are, I'm not gonna see as much love probably right now because it's getting a little chilly out. But the good thing is Roback makes the most comfortable polos, Q-zips. They got some great vests. They also have long sleeve jackets now and fleece. If that's more your style. Again, the Roback hoodies are a staple. There's nothing better to work, be around the house with, running around town, that kind of stuff. They're so comfortable. Head over to roback.com, use promo code TWASPIL15 to get yourself 15% off your first order. Check out, always dropping new stuff in there. Again, a lot of more fall stuff coming out now. They have their Alpine collection. So we got some browns, some greens, some like oranges, some more fall colors if you're looking for that stuff. Roback.com, promo code TWASPIL15.
Yeah, definitely have to echo the love for Roback. I have a bunch of them. I actually ordered a new one, so I did use the T-Waspel within the last week or two. Got another polo, the Irish Cream polo. So Irish coffee cream, whatever they call it, it's Irish coffee polo. So
nice.
Definitely will wear that on one of the upcoming shows. But anyway, speaking of upcoming shows, we've got a big show tonight. We'll have our postseason push where we'll continue to talk about the latest and greatest in this postseason World Series matchup between the Yankees and the Dodgers. More to come on that in a moment. Player to be named later will be our game segment of the evening. And then finally, much anticipated, we know everyone loves our Bulls and Bears segments. A few weeks back, we did our Bears of the 2024 regular season. We'll be doing our Bulls of the 2024 regular season. And again, this is going to be a top 10 list, only focusing on regular season. Postseason stats do not matter. So more to come on that at the end of the show.
Great note there. And shout out to our guy CK over at Yankees Pod. Is that Rich or Austin Wells? No, this is specifically Nestor Cortez. We got the chain. I had the chance to grow it out, have it grow out a little bit for Austin Wells, but my guy got benched today. So no, we're going Nestor because Nestor Cortez is the best left-handed relief pitcher in the history of Yankees postseason games, as we saw in Game 1.
Sarcasm, folks.
Got Ohtani out.
Well, listen, we'll touch more into the World Series as tonight will mark Game 3 at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Time. Dodgers currently lead the series 2-0. Not what you like. Was hopeful that the Yankees were going to try to at least sneak out one game on the road. That was not the case, and that one game should have been Game 1. Thomas.
Yeah, the Dodgers, right? Dodgers are a great team. I'm not breaking any news here. It's going to take a lot to beat them. Yankees are also a very good team. They might not be as good of a team as the Dodgers, but in toss-up type games like Game 1, those are the games the Yankees need to win if they're going to win this World Series, because there'll be games like Game 2, although the Yankees got it close in the end, where the Dodgers are just going to outplay you. And frankly, I think the Yankees can do the same thing to the Dodgers in some future games in this series. But Game 1 was a heartbreaker. They had it. Stanton with the massive homer. Then they take the lead, but then the sloppy defense comes up again. They had I think two official errors, but really probably like 3. With misplayed balls, bad routes, just
4.
Was it actually 4? Was it 4 official errors?
There's been 4 misplays. I would say in total. You got the You got the Soto ball that he just tracked wrong. You had the mind-numbing play from Torres. That was the error.
That was key.
I'm sorry.
And that even, like, I'll be honest, the Glaber one, like, I'm not as upset with Glaber. I mean, Rizzo also needs to be, like, backing that up.
Yes, there's two errors on that play. But as far as Torres is concerned, that ball's hit in the dirt. You need to knock that down with your body and not matador it and risk it getting away from you, because when you do that, you lose control of where the ball's going. That was just an absolute. And yes, you're right. Rizzo should be around the pitcher's mound, backing that up 100%.
100%.
But that Torres play, that ties the game.
Yeah.
That was the tie and run the game. And listen, Verdugo made a great catch on that Ohtani ball. And I didn't know the rule. I thought the two bases were because he threw the ball back in while he was out of bounds. But I didn't even realize that rule was him falling into the stands and ended up costing them the two bases. Otherwise, they would have pitched to Betts in that situation instead of walking them. That changes the complexion of that in itself.
Yeah, and I guess let's get to that last at bat. Let's talk about the decision to bring. Well, Nestor is in for that bat. The decision to bring in Nestor over Tim Hill.
I was ready. I told Aaron I'm ready to go. I've been throwing simulations. I've been throwing to batters. Haven't seen a major league mound in about a month, but I was ready to go. Why bring in Tim Hill? Why bring in my teammate who's only been pitching about half these games in the postseason? Why bring in my buddy Tim Hill? I mean, no.
So,
go ahead, Tom.
I'll give you the. I don't want to say devil's advocate argument, because I think it's a discussion you could have. Yankee fans are acting like Tim Hill is prime Andrew Miller. Let me remind you guys, Tim Hill was released from the worst team in the history of Major League Baseball.
But that doesn't matter.
Now, he has had a very good postseason. He has. But he's to act like what is it? When Buck didn't bring in Zach Britton, like, it's not that. Like, the thing we don't know is how Nestor has looked in bullpens. If he's looked good, I don't mind the move, but we don't know exactly how he's looked.
The problem I have is you are bringing in a pitcher, regardless of sim games and everything. That's a different environment than walking into the 10th inning with the heart of the order coming up. You are asking a guy who has not pitched in over a month at that point. I believe it was 40 days or whatever it was, that to get out not only three batters in a crucial situation, you are asking him to face the three best hitters aside from your own in baseball. I mean, that is the three-headed monster. So if they brought Tim Hill in, I would not be sitting here saying they should have brought Nestor Cortez in. I would never say that. You're bringing in the lefty that has been with you the entire postseason. Now, yesterday would have been the more opportunity to get Cortez in with work. You're down going in, into the late part of that game. Your starter was ousted after halfway through the fourth inning. If you're going to get your pitchers time to get them back into the series, that's the spot to bring them in. Obviously, that's not going through Boone's head at that time. But in the 10th inning with the game on the line, I can't bring in a cold pitcher out of nowhere, off the IL, off his couch, to face Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. And he ends up getting Ohtani out, which is good for him. But
I agree, but I don't think it's this, like, absolute. I don't think it's oh my God, this is the worst decision in the history of baseball. I do think it's closer to a coin flip, like a 60-40 decision. But go on, Corey.
Yeah, no, I hated the move personally. I mean, to the points that were just brought up too. It's like, all right, Nestor Cortez hasn't pitched in a while, and Tim Hill, again, to your point too, Tom. Tim Hill, it's not like this is Britton back in the day. He's not one of the best lefties in the league, so it's not like you're not going to your best closer. That's not the case here with Hill, but he does have the more recent success. He's actually pitched. He's had good numbers in the postseason, pretty good numbers coming into the game. And to Joe's point, you're facing the best 1, 2, and 3 in baseball. I mean, the only other 3 order that probably rivals it is the Yankees, the other side with Judge Soto and a red hot Giancarlo Stanton. So I personally can't even talk. I personally would have went to the pen with Tim Hill in that spot, and then Cortez. If the game goes longer, or if you get through that heart of the order, and then all of a sudden you find yourself later in extra innings, then you put Cortez in. If he has to go 2-3 innings, you hope you win it before then anyway. But
I don't know if he has 2-3 innings in him. I don't think he does. I think he really is because he basically said like he's willing to just blow his elbow out and not pitch next year. I don't think you're gonna get that. I think he really is like a situational lefty, and it didn't work. I think the bigger discussions from that game, which we still really haven't fully got answered, is Cole being pulled at 88 pitches in he gave up a hit
too early
7th. That's when he got pulled.
Yeah, but go ahead. I was going to say, my thing with Cole getting pulled, and he did get pulled early. I thought in that lane where that inning was going to be Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Kike, at least get to Kike and see what happens. But even in pulling him, didn't cost the Yankees much, because at the end of the day, the two outlying things outside of just the whole what happened in the 10th inning. Listen, 10th inning doesn't happen if the miscues that Joe mentioned before, the Glaber miscue, the Soto miscue, those led to 2 runs right there. And secondly, the overarching thing that I mentioned on TikTok earlier, which also applied to game 2, the Yankees' lack of hitting with runners in scoring position. You don't get yourself in the 10th inning if the Yankees convert some of the opportunities they had. They had 10 hits on Friday.
That's a huge part of it too. I guess my point is, if you let Cole get through that inning, you push everything back. You don't, that way in the 10th, you don't have to go to Nestor. Luke Weaver's still in the game at that point. But that's the issue.
I don't think the move hurt them.
I think it did. Luke Weaver couldn't pitch another inning. He could have easily pitched the 9th and the 10th if he never pitched the 8th and the 9th.
I think the bigger issue, because here's the thing, Cole pitched well, but the Dodgers hit about 6 balls near 100 miles an hour off of Cole that ended up being outs. So it's not like Cole had 10 strikeouts and you picked them out with 88 pitches. He was dancing around it a little bit because the quality of contact was there for the Dodgers. I actually had a bigger problem when they pulled Canley and brought in Weaver to face Betts. And the reason why is Betts is not striking out. You're putting Weaver in to strike out Betts to try and get the strikeout with a runner on third. Betts is not striking out there. I don't care who's out there. Betts is not going to strike out in that position. It's not the kind of player he is. I would have left Canley in there to face Betts and potentially even put Betts on to face Freeman.
It's not the lane they would span in Canley, though, because Canley's changeup works better against left-handed.
I understand
hitters. So
that.
They're trying to avoid him against pure bat-to-ball skills and righty. If you notice, Tommy Edmonds, a switch hitter, he batted righty against Tommy Canley because you know he can't touch that changeup as a left-handed hitter. But go ahead.
But right, and I felt that in that situation, you have to know that Betts is coming up, that your chances even of bringing a strikeout pitcher like Weaver in, of striking out Betts in that situation are almost zero. It's just the caliber of hitter that you're facing. So for me, I would have rolled with Canley and tried to add that in with Canley and then started the next with Weaver. And then you would have had Weaver for another inning and a half. So Weaver would have ended up pitching the 9th and the 10th instead of the way they did it.
Jay Cousins, Also, Jay Cousins walking the 8th and 9th hitters in that lineup. Is also horrible. The Yankee. If one of 6 different things go differently in that game, the Yankees win game 1. They didn't, but that's why it was there, and that's
why I personally have a hard time harping on the moment of Freeman hitting that grand slam because so many things could have happened differently.
I agree.
Correct. It was the domino effect. Just one thing led to the other.
That's my other point of why I don't think the Nestor decision is the true.
I think it's like the third. I think it's like the third on the priority list of why the Yankees lost that game.
Yeah, it's a multitude of miscues and misdecision that ultimately led to that point. It's a shame too. I mean, how about Verdugo? That catch, that catch he had against Ohtani. I mean, that situation, he makes that catch. You think, wow, that's a game-saving catch. And then what happened? They ended up losing it 2 batters later.
And I saw
the other decision, too, want to bring it up real quick. The other decision, and I apologize if I miss it because my audio keeps going in and out. The Mookie Betts situation where they walked Betts to get to Freeman. Do you guys all make that move as well?
No, I wouldn't have walked him. And I understand it's second and third, and a base hit ties the game. But if you saw Nestor's career lines, if they truly believed in the lane where Nestor was going to face Shohei Ohtani, who only had a 2 for 12 against him, and Mookie Betts, who has an 0 for 5 against him in his career, if that was your lane, then pitch to Mookie. To go to Freddie Freeman, where there's no margin for error, and you have to spam pitches down the middle, Freddie Freeman's going to make you pay for it every single time. And I understand second and third's not attractive to face Mookie Betts with, but I think the Yankees would have had a better chance in facing Mookie Betts than walking him in that situation.
I don't know. Hey, go on, Joe.
2 things. Listen, it's not necessarily the wrong move looking at it from a baseball perspective. You're putting the force play on at every position. So I can't go crazy about it. However, if you're telling me with my life on the line, do I want to face Mookie Betts or do I want to face Freddie Freeman? Everything else being equal, I'm facing Mookie Betts. Freeman is a special kind of hitter. Betts is a special player. He's a special player because he does everything well. Freeman is a special hitter. Freeman is a hit first. He is one of the best what we call pure hitters in baseball. As far as I'm concerned, there's only 2 or 3 other guys in the sport that I would rather not face than him. One of them being Altuve, and we can debate what constitutes that pure hitter, but that's what Freeman is. I personally would have rather faced Betts. I can't fault Boone necessarily from walking him. I'm just thinking in the moment, what's going to produce a big moment. I think it's more likely that Freeman gets to Cortez than Betts does. That's just me personally. That's me watching Freeman for years kill the Mets. I understand what kind of hitter he is. And so it's just, I can't go crazy. I can't.
I think if we keep going down that, like, the priority list of quote unquote mistake, that's even further down. You know, Mookie also puts more pressure on the defense because he has speed. So the Yankees, historically, as we saw in that game, bad defense. You're now putting, ground balls and things in the dirt, and Mookie's gonna bring that part to it. And frankly, the grand slam doesn't. The home run part doesn't matter, right? The home run or a single, the Yankees lost. Correct. So yes, Freeman has more chance of hitting a home run, but at that point, that doesn't matter. Who do you think you're more likely to get out?
Who's more likely? I mean, who's more likely to get the 2 runs home? And I would argue you're more likely to get that with Freeman. But again, but
I think it's close. I don't think it's not. It wasn't Freddie Freeman or Tommy Edman, or wasn't Freddie Freeman or Gavin Lux.
Poison. I mean, it is
exactly poison.
Pure pick your poison. The chances are either of them, both of them are putting the bat on the ball no matter what. You're not striking either one out. And so you really just kind of have to live with that. And again, game 1 is the one that the Yankees are going to regret. That's the game that got away from them. Game 2 wasn't close until the 9th inning. The Dodgers controlled it almost the whole step of the way. I thought the 9th inning was probably the best part of that game. Otherwise, the game was pretty much a dud as far as just
it's close.
The lack of
drama. I know people don't like, not everyone loves the quote unquote analytics part of it, but Jose Trevino's launch angle being 2 degrees lower on that is doubling the gap, and the Yankees take the lead.
But him swinging at the first pitch is a bad optic.
He got a pitch to hit.
There's been 2 schools of thought on it all day, and I'm still on the school of thought. Don't swing at the first pitch. So, we haven't swung the bat in 2 weeks.
So here's the thing: Jose Trevino, 1, doesn't walk. He is not. He is a bat the ball guy. Now he's not Mookie Betts. He's not Freddie Freeman, clearly, but he's a bat the ball guy. He got if you're coming off the bench, you're looking for a fastball. He got one. He hit it well. He just got under it a hair, and it was caught. Right again, if that ball is just hit a little lower, it's a double in the gap. You're not putting him up there to walk.
I say that about the Piazza hit off of Mariano in 2000.
Yeah, again,
which I still thought was gone.
Now, listen, again, you can't compare those 2 players, but Piazza's looking for a heater. He got it. It's the same thing. It's just, he didn't get it out. That game was lost by not scoring, in the first 8 innings.
That's the problem with the Yankees right now. The Yankees are doing two things not well. They're not playing defense well, and they're just not hitting. I mean, Judge is not. Judge is going to get heat if he strikes out tonight. The Yankees can cheer him when he gets up to the bat. He's going to hear the boo birds if he strikes out at his first at bat.
Yeah, let's talk about Aaron Judge. I mean, it's and we're gonna have more on Aaron Judge later. Spoiler, but what's going on with Judge is just tough to watch, and there is a lot of call on social media to adorn Judge with the Trey Turner treatment. If you guys remember from mid-season 2023, where the fans came together and they just cheered raucously, even though Turner was going through a dry spell with the bat. And they feel like that could be something to try to spark Judge. But we also know this Bronx crowd. They could do that for at bat number 1. And if Judge goes down on 3 pitches, the boo birds will be out.
Also, can I be honest?
It's unfortunate. Go ahead.
The Trey Turner stuff's kind of like bullshit. Like you think because people cheered him, a all-world player like Trey Turner, like certainly he learned again how to hit. It happened, right? I think fans generally think that we have a lot more say in what happens on the field than we do. I do think crowds factor in, but if fans get up and cheer Aaron Judge and he hits a home run in the first inning, it's not because the fans cheered him. It's because he got a pitch to hit and he didn't miss it. And it's because he's Aaron Judge. He's the best hitter in baseball. Like that's why he's going to hit a home run. If he hits a home run in the first inning, that's going to be why. I think it's just fans inserting themselves where they don't really factor as much as they think they do.
And I think part of it too, when it comes to baseball, especially, it's so mental. You could find, and there's so many ways that you could get into a rut, whether it's a bad habit, a bad approach, you get a hitch. There's so many variables that could lead you into a slump. I think part of this, when you have such an extended streak where the pressure is not greater. I mean, you're in the World Series, literally the biggest moment of the year. I think there's a point where if you're struggling so hard, eventually you're going to start to think about it. So it comes down to the mental fortitude of the player, and can they break out of that slump? Now, I think the fan question in that standpoint, yeah, if you shower them with cheers, it might help them break that mental barrier. But there's so many other variables that, I kind of lean with Tom's point, but at the same time, you never know. If it's truly a mental issue with Judge, it could help. But there's so many variables in terms of baseball and hitting a pitch right and hitting it hot out of the park that TBD. We'll see
him being late on fastballs and early on breaking balls is not because people are booing him. They are booing him. And there's also a factor of when you're in the playoffs and you have time off between series, you have the pitchers have more time to game plan you. The front office is diving into every at bat you've taken. Game to game during the regular season. If you're playing the Red Sox one week and you're prepping for them, and then the next day you play the Yankees, like you don't have 5 days to go through everything Aaron Judge has done, come up with this huge game plan. I think they've game planned well for him. That Cleveland did the same thing, and he's in between right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're exactly right. He's late on every fastball. He's chasing balls in the dirt. They normally doesn't.
He's a guess hitter. A lot of guys are. He's a guess hitter, and they have figured out a way to make sure he's always guessing wrong. Yeah, the difference between him and a guy like Soto and a guy like Freeman, and a guy like Betts. Those guys aren't as much guess hitters. They're certainly looking for pitches, but they're doing more reaction stuff, and that's what you see.
Yeah, and as far as what the Yankees can do about it, I don't think the Yankees can do a damn thing. I mean, you can. To me, the only argument is switching him and Stanton in the order. That is the only argument I can see, because then you're providing protection for Soto. That Soto we've now seen late in games, Soto walk to get to Judge, or Soto's pitched around to get to Judge. That's the situation that Judge has put Soto in now. I don't think flipping him and Soto is really going to do anything for Judge, because Judge is going to be pitched to the same way. So the only thing I could say is you flip him and Stanton, right, in order for Stanton to better protect Soto at this particular moment. But either way, the Yankees got to live and die by him. I mean, this is the guy. You're not batting him eighth. That's not solving any of the issues. And not to mention, aside from Stanton, who's fifth, you have nobody else in that order who's producing. It's, Austin Wells isn't producing. You can't put anybody else there. Rizzo's only hitting singles. He has no RBIs in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nobody.
You mean everybody from the middle down, because you're not talking about
yes.
Gleyber. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Nobody from the middle down after the heart of that order that you can put there and justify. You're not going to put Jazz there. Jazz hasn't hit enough, although he had a big hit and a couple stolen bases the other night. But other than that, there are no options, which runs to the bigger issue of the Yankees versus the Dodgers. The Yankees don't have a professional bat in the bottom of the order at this particular moment, and the Dodgers have 4 of them. We've seen Tommy Edman, we've seen Enrique Hernandez, we've seen Max Muncy take professional at bats after they get through the big guys. The Yankees need somebody to step up beyond Aaron Judge.
Opie's been looking better down there. I will say that he's been having better approaches. Yeah, he's been better than it was during regular.
Lost.
And it was the right call benching Wells. Wells is 12 for 112 since September 1st.
That Wells part is what hurts. The Wells part's what hurts, because he was looking so good in the summer, and then all of a sudden now. Like you said,
Wells is frustrating. They're just saying, we're going to throw high fastballs to you, and you're just going to swing and miss every time. They at least judge their game planning. The game plan for Wells is high fastball, swing and miss, swing and miss, swing and miss.
Yep. And even with Judge, though, too, you still have to, like you said, you still have to game plan to Judge, because if you just lay a meatball over, he could take that 500 feet at any given moment. So you still got a game plan for Judge. But like you said, with Wells, he is just so lost right now. And that's a big loss to the bottom half of that Yankees lineup, because he was so 100%. Good for that team in the middle of the year.
One last thing I'll add before we move on to a player to be named later. When it comes to the Yankees, and obviously again trailing 0-2 going into tonight's game 3, pivotal game 3 for the New York Yankees, definitely more pivotal for this Yankees team because you go down 3-0, 0-3, and it's pretty much it's a wrap. So we spoke about Aaron Judge. I'm now losing the point altogether that I had at the top of my head, and now I completely lost it. And this is what happens when you get older, folks.
Who has more pressure on him tonight, Aaron Judge or Clark Schmidt?
Judge.
I think it's Schmidt.
To perform in front of the stadium crowd, I think it's Judge. With everything going on.
My concern is if Schmidt gives up 2 runs in the first or second inning, the crowd is going to be. It's going to be awake in that stadium.
The thing about Clark, and for those of it,
which isn't fair to him.
Now, listen, and for those who are in the chat, and Rich, I'm sure you've heard enough of people talk about Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt is apparently the cockiest, most confident player on the entire team. I don't think it'll bother him. I don't think that part will bother him. That's just how he is. Now, I'm not saying he's the best pitcher on the team, but he feels like he acts like he's the best player on earth. And I don't think that part of the pressure will get to him. Judge needs to produce tonight.
Yeah, I think there's more. It's 2 ways to look at it from my standpoint. I think looking at Judge, I put the pressure on him just because he went from one extreme to the polar opposite extreme in the biggest moment. But at the same time, Schmidt's going to determine the outcome of this game more than Judge. You could get another 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts from Judge and win the game 5-2 if you get a great outing from Schmidt. Judge could hit 2 home runs and still lose if Schmidt goes up 6 home runs. So,
Do you guys
calls it out? Clark Schmidt isn't cocky. He's confident. He's a bulldog. We love him. And I found the point. I just want to throw this point out there, and then we'll move on. We go back a couple of months, and you guys have heard me say this multiple times on this show for the last 3 years now. When your team is a good team and it's entering the trade deadline, you have a chance to take a good team to a World Series team. Look at the difference between the 2 trade deadlines between the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes, the Yankees got Jazz Chisholm, but they didn't do much right after that to address other issues. What do the Dodgers do? They added Jack Flaherty, Tommy Edman, and
Kopech.
The third. Kopech. That was it. Kopech.
Yankees had Jack Flaherty, but then they had Flaherty.
And they're big parts of this World Series team. So just something to keep in mind. The Yankees
had Flaherty. They decided not to go with it because of the medicals. So
I know we got to move on. Do you guys are you guys comfortable with the fact that you've lined up the 2 young pitchers back to back down 0-2?
Not the most comfortable.
What's the other option?
I would have started one of them in game 2 and had Rodon pitch tonight.
Go today.
Yeah,
I guess I mean, I could see that Rodon also was a lot better in Cleveland than he was at home against Cleveland. So there's or is that Kansas City that was that he had a really bad start then followed with a good one on the road. I don't know.
Asking a lot of too young. To me, you're asking a lot of too young pitchers the next 2 days.
It's
it's
tough
a lot
to look at because you want to avoid the 0-2 at the same time, and Rodon gives you the best chance to avoid the 0-2. But it's a tough scenario regardless. I mean, they ended up losing the game with their second best pitcher, and now you're stuck in this scenario. So
I just think in the Yankees situation, you would not that Rodon's been a good pitcher in the playoffs. You don't go more than one game without Cole or Rodon pitching, and to me, I feel like that would have been more important. What the big money guys going once every other day effectively.
Well,
I don't know.
We'll see how it works out because if they also pull off 2 wins with these kids, and they're gonna look like geniuses when you have Cole Rodon next. So anyway, let's go to the chat here. Zanko, Rich, I like seeing you in the uniform. Appreciate that. Will Crow go with the hot hand on Friday. The hot hand was Hill, not Nestor. Jonathan, this is a new one. Jonathan Shancup. Yankees getting swept, Judge getting booed. Don't like reading that. Swift, did Rich grow an Austin Wells stash? No, this is a Nestor stash. It'll be a little longer for Wells. Great show, guys. Thank you very much. Lauren, big hockey fan, big Ranger fan. Let's go Rangers. And Sierra, Joe is actually a Dodgers fan. That's what Sierra's got.
Joe is a fan of anyone who's playing the Yankees.
A Dodgers fan. All righty. YouTube. We'll touch on YouTube real quick. Make sure to give us a subscribe, a like, a share. We're closing on 400. I feel like we've been preaching this tone for about a month now. We're right there, 400. We got 397, 398. So if you haven't already, and if you're listening right now on YouTube, you've already done the job. Thank you very much. If you're listening to us on Twitter, go subscribe to us over on YouTube and join us in our YouTube comment stream where you can get the full experience here on YouTube. All right, let's go to the games. It's pivotal. We're down to the 2 last weeks. We got a player to be named later tonight, and then next week a very crucial core curriculum that could decide the winner. But we got 2 points to pick up here with a player to be named later. So we'll go over to Corey Favs as the first PTBNL. Go ahead.
Great. And could you guys hear me? Because my
yes,
screen
sir.
is
You're good.
All
you're
right.
good.
I got audio, but I have no video. All right. Well, anyway, this particular player, it's a positional player, an active player with a current 12-year MLB career. He was an all-star once in his career, 2015. I picked this player specifically just to try to throw a little bit of a World Series vibe to it, but this player didn't actually win a World Series. He was traded away from a potential World Series team. So that he was actually on the Red Sox roster at some point in 2013 and ultimately traded away during the 2013 year. Just missed out on a World Series appearance.
The worst. He still gets a ring though. 2013.
He
Still gets a ring.
Still active.
Still gets a ring because I think to get a ring, you just have to have some level of involvement with the team.
Yeah.
Still active.
One of those active years was with the Mets too. So there's a Mets connection here as well.
Yeah. 1 year with the New York Mets is the first.
So it came up in 20.
I'm thinking of 2013 Red Sox. I can't think of somebody that's still active.
That's
a long time ago.
One.
Yep.
That's
2013 was 11 years. 11 years back.
And this is like, I hate to ask for a fourth clue here, but this is active player who's like currently on a team.
Oh, he is a legitimate. It's not like a guy who's been a free agent for a year or two. He's legitimately active.
Okay.
1 year with New York Mets.
Yes.
Active player.
I'm
trying to think.
All-Star 1 season.
Jose Iglesias?
It is Jose Iglesias.
Yep.
Tried to throw a curveball.
Oh my God!
I know he was on the Red Sox. That's the only. I'm like trying to take an active shot of who's on the Red Sox.
I tried to throw the curveball by going with the active Met player because we never do that. So I thought that would be a little bit of a curveball.
That's a trick here.
Like trying to stick a curveball by Giancarlo Stanton. Joe just
sneak a piece of cheese past the rat.
Wow. All right.
Joey the Rat. I like that nickname.
Critical point for Joe because Tom has the next player to be named later.
Yeah,
And
sure do.
with a chance to play defense here. So, Tom, let's take a look.
Let's take a look at this player to be named later. 19-year career, which he played for both the Yankees and the Mets. This player, again, we went for the World Series. We went for the 0-2 Yankees World Series team, down 0-2. Was a member of the 96 Yankees and did appear in the World Series. So this, unlike Jose Iglesias, he was on the roster, appeared in the World Series. And then this player was then eventually traded by the Yankees for Chad Curtis, who would later on have some big moments for them as well.
Jimmy Key.
Not Jimmy Key. That's a good guess.
I don't know if he ever played for the Mets, but I'll take the K.
I don't know if he did, but he was. I think he's on that 96 team. So
I don't think it's him, but I have 3 guesses, so I'll just say El Duque.
it's not
I
El
think
Duque.
of that too.
El Duque comes later. Yankee and Met though.
His brother Levon.
It is not Levon. No. So each of you with 1 strike.
Mm-hmm. 96 series. 19-year career. So he gotta be at least semi-prominent if you're a 19-year career, right?
Yeah, I mean, you stick around for 19 years. You're doing something.
I forget how long he was actually with the Yankees, but David Cone.
It is not David Cone.
That was a good guess.
Career ERA, not out later. Career ERA plus of 102. So quite literally an average, just a guy who was average.
It's got to be like a middle reliever.
Guy playing baseball.
Yeah, 302 starter is a Hall of Famer. Or no, you said 302 ERA or
no, his ERA, his career plus his career ERA plus is 102. So basically he was just always no one's ever first or second choice, but he twirled it.
The middle reliever.
He twirled it at times.
I must have guessed this player 100 times. Mike Stanton.
It's not Mike Stanton.
I'm thinking of that caliber, though. I'm thinking of that caliber.
I think I'm right church, wrong pew.
Yeah.
I would say you guys are in a. Yeah, you're around it. We have 1 guess in the chat that's incorrect so far, but a good guess. A guy who was on that 96 team, CK. So Joe has 2 wrong. Rich and Corey 1, I think.
I have 2.
You have 2.
This is a Jim Leyrit's teammate here.
Yeah. Need a Jim Leyrit's performance tonight from someone.
All right. I don't really know. I just know he had a long career. I think he was a Yankee. I just forget when. He was definitely a Met. Dave Weathers.
It is David Weathers.
Oh, it is David Weathers?
David Weathers.
Wow. I just knew he was in the league forever. He played with the Mets in like 2004, 2005.
I have it here. He was on the Mets in 02, 03, and looks like in 04 you guys traded him to either Houston or Florida or DFA'd him because you played on all 3 teams that year.
Okay.
To answer Tom's questions from earlier today in my DMs, yes, you used that player before.
I was going to say,
I don't know if it was specifically for this game, but David Weathers was an answer to one of our games
I've
back
used
in the day.
David Weathers once.
Maybe
I was going to say
the trade for Curtis.
It could have been the Chad Curtis one, or it could have been.
We could have.
It could have been. David Weathers could have been in that, and who did you get for David Weathers?
Possible,
I don't know. I felt like I'd used them before, but then I couldn't exactly find it. And there's no way of asking
a guy for the game.
There's no way of asking Rich, have I used David Weathers before without telling him?
I'm sorry, I don't have. I didn't journal entry every single answer from 3 years of games here. We play a lot of games here on this show. That repeats are going to happen. But David Weathers.
Listen, I'm just happy Joe didn't get it.
A point to Corey Favs, but a point for Joe. So he enters the final week up 24-23 for Tom. Corey at 19, but you never know how core curriculum goes. It's a multi-point game. So, one of you guys will definitely are still in it. I'm out. I don't think it's going to take a damn miracle for me to get in there. I think I'm 100% out. So core curriculum was our final game for season 3. That'll be next week to determine our winner of the ESB games of 2024. Okay, let's talk about Instagram and X. For Instagram, Corey, and then we'll throw it over to Joe to talk about X. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, go ahead. Follow us on Instagram. We are now at 6,200 followers and growing. Instagram's a fun time. We got our meme reels there. Archived segments are there. Pretty much every graphic from the show makes its way to Instagram. It's a fun time. Go ahead and follow us at Empire State of Baseball. And you can follow us individually. Myself at Corey Favs, Joe at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J. Rivera, and Tom at T. Wospil. You can also listen to the show there. We're live on Instagram as well. I know it cuts out after the hour mark, but Instagram's a fun time. Go ahead, give us a follow.
Not tonight for whatever reason. Instagram didn't pick up today, but go ahead. Go ahead, Joe. Let's talk about X.
You can join our over 3,300 followers on X and follow at ESB Podcast. You can also follow our subsidiary accounts at ESB NYY, which will be incredibly active tonight, and follow at ESB NYM, where we have been jabbing with the local Met fans over the offseason plans. We've seen some crazy ones, including some people trading for Jacob deGrom. Other people want to bring back Ahmad Rosario. That was an interesting one today. You could also follow Sierra Poteet at Sierra Not Missed, who will be on our Yankee account and help our after hours space, which we will not be doing today, right? Or no extra
innings. We're doing the PXP, but Sierra will be on PXP later on today, hopefully.
Rich is doing PXP tonight, so you can follow us there. You can follow Corey at G Gory, myself at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Tom at T Wospil, all on X, and keep up with us over the next few days while this World Series figures itself.
More than a few days. Than a few days of games left.
Oh, at the max, it's 7.
That's what we're putting out there.
No, Game 7 would be Saturday, right?
Game 7 would be Saturday. Yes.
Yeah. So we're at
time next week. We will know who's won the World Series.
Well, but a few would be 3 days. We're going more than 3 days, is my point.
5's a few.
All right, let's get to the Bulls. We got to beat an 8:08 start time here. So we got to get through the Bulls of the year. So our top 10 players of the 2024 season, as Corey mentioned earlier, this is just including the regular season. Postseason has nothing to do with our stat. We already did these rankings about a few weeks ago now. So we'll reveal them to you tonight. And to start with our first 5. I'll throw it over to my guy, Tom Wospil. My guy, Tom, is going to go through our first 5 here in the rankings for the Bulls of the year. Take it away, Tom.
I will gladly take it away here. We'll start at the bottom of the list. David Peterson, very nice season for the Mets, a guy that I think the Mets are going to be counting on next year to have a big season as they rebuild that pitching staff comes in at the 10 spot. Luis Severino, I believe that too, that means we see a Bear
he was a Bear. Yes, that's
of
right.
The
he was
year
a Bear
last
with
year.
the Yankees last year.
Yeah, so went from the second worst player in the city to the 9th best player. Another guy, a very nice season, bounce back for Severino, and I know a lot of Yankee fans are just happy for him that he was able to bounce back. His career didn't end well with the Yankees, but I think a lot of people are rooting for him to go and sign a good contract and kind of live out his major league career somewhere. Number 8. We have Jose Iglesias. Definitely some solid numbers. We'll get into who should and shouldn't be on the list. I think it's a great story. I don't know if he's necessarily the 8th best player in the city, but we have him at 8 here. Number 7, Luke Weaver, who just came on strong at the end, picking up the mess from Clay Holmes and stepped into the closer role, but was very good before that as well, and has been a important part of the Yankees bullpen moving forward in the postseason. And then at the 6th spot, we have potentially the AL Rookie of the Year, Luis Gil, 15-7. I know records aren't everything to everyone, but that's still impressive out of your rookie campaign, especially with missing some time. 3.5 ERA, not horrible. Ton of strikeouts. Hopefully striking out a bunch of Dodgers tomorrow, if I do say so myself. So that is our first 5 of the Bulls of the year.
Yeah, had to shout out my guy Luke Weaver for shout out CK's guy Luke Weaver here who cracked the number 7 spot. Joe, Corey, any commentary on your Mets on here? Iglesias, Severino, Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important one in going forward for the Mets is David Peterson. He came off a hip surgery and he looked awful last year. Before the hip surgery, he gets the hip surgery in the off season. He takes a couple months rehabbing and comes back. And ever since he came back, he had been absolutely fantastic. Has now worked himself into the conversation where he is going to be a rotation. He's going to have a rotation spot waiting for him. He is have been absolutely fantastic this year. He was a weapon for them in the playoffs out of the bullpen. I actually thought he should have had a start in the playoffs. I think he only started the last game in the playoffs, but he should have had a rotation spot in the playoffs. He's going to be one of their pitchers of the future. And listen, no disrespect to Severino and Iglesias, who both turn in unexpectedly great seasons, which puts them a little bit higher. But they may not be Mets next year. So Peterson to me is the biggest good sign for the Mets on the bottom half of this list.
Yeah, and I just got to give a shout out to Iglesias because he really played the Jose Valentin role from the 2006 Mets, where veteran player really wasn't supposed to be on the team. Iglesias again didn't make the team out of spring training despite having a good spring training. Got the call up, I think, middle of May. Was a bench player, then a platoon player, then a starting player, and he just had a phenomenal year. I know he didn't quite live up to it in the playoffs, but we wouldn't be in this spot if it wasn't for Jose Iglesias. He kind of helped bring the team together. He brought some fun energy. I mean, "Oh My God" was the song for the Mets in the second half of the season. So he kind of brought the energy, brought a legitimate major league player to the bottom half of that lineup. Eventually he started hitting in the top of the order too. So got to give a shout out to him. He did the exact thing that Jose Valentin did for the 2006 Mets.
Corey, we're going to stick with you. We're going to reveal our number 5 and number 4 spots. So go ahead.
Yeah. So now as we look to crack the top 5 for the Bulls, Mark Vientos. And here's another person that we're seeing jumping from a bear of the year. He was 9th last year to 5th best of the year. And Mark Vientos, again, another player, had a phenomenal spring training. He had that hard hit rate was very high, but he couldn't crack the major league roster on opening day because he was blocked by Brett Beatty, who we thought was going to have a great year. He actually had a great 2 weeks, and then he completely fell apart, got hurt, never came back. Mark Vientos turned from an unknown, a guy who had great minor league numbers, looked like he was going to be one of those quadruple A players who just tear up triple A, but can never put it together in the major leagues. But he went on such a tear, that 837 OPS, 27 home runs, great numbers for a young third baseman. Played a decent third base too, because he was known for a bad glove, but he actually played a decent third base. Again, I don't know if he's a third baseman of the future. Could be a DH, maybe first, depending on the Alonso situation. But great job, Mark Vientos. Love to have you as part of this future. And Sean Manaea, I mean, he was undoubtedly the ace of this Mets staff. Him and Severino were both like the quote-unquote aces, but Manaea was the 1A, to Severino being the 1B. Manaea looked a little shaky in the first month or two of the season, and then from June onwards was absolutely lights out. 3.47 ERA, 12 wins, 108 whip. That's a nice whip, 184 Ks. Started getting a lot of quality starts once it hit July onwards, so he was a warm weather pitcher. So Sean Manaea, I hope he comes back next year. Again, this is another guy. We had a few on the last set. Another guy who's a free agent. Hope the Mets do bring him back. We'll see. Time will tell.
Joe, not wasting any time, we're going to go to the next 2 spots that you have here. Our number 3 and number 2 positions here in the Bulls of the year.
Yeah, and I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, we have a tie here for the number 2 position, being Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto. But Juan Soto, obviously, the big offseason trade to get him to the Yankees on a 1-year deal at the moment, future in doubt. But Juan Soto had probably his best statistical offensive year of his career: 41 homers, 109 RBIs, 419 on base percentage, and 989 OPS. And most importantly, the walks, 129 walks, set up Judge all year. looked fantastic doing it. And then obviously the other one was Francisco Lindor, who is going to be the runner-up in the MVP in the NL, probably to Shohei Ohtani. One could argue that Lindor, until he got hurt late in the year, had a legitimate shot to challenge Ohtani. Played what should be Gold Glove defense. Crime that he's not nominated for a Gold Glove. That's
it is not a crime that he's not nominated for a Gold Glove. It's not. And listen, Juan Soto should be the second spot. I don't think it's correct that this is tied here. His slash lines, all of these numbers, all his offensive stats are better than Lindor, and he is a Gold Glove finalist. So if you factor that part of it in as well, it's an absolute joke that he's not number 2. Did I say something wrong?
Let me ask
the right field Gold Glove. The right field Gold Glove class was.
Did I say something incorrect?
Lindor plays the most valuable position on the diamond, so we'll leave it there. Anyway, Lindor on his way to a 30-30 season again. If you didn't miss the 2 weeks basically with a bad back at the end of the season, was absolutely phenomenal for the Mets. Led this team the whole way. And the work. So both well deserved of the position. You could quibble over 2-3, but they're tied at 2.
I will say, if I was a fan of a random team like the Reds, I would definitely go with Soto because of the stats. But just watching every Met game, basically from June onwards, Lindor, such a valuable player. I mean, he had these numbers and basically did nothing in the month of April. I mean, he was hitting 150 at the end of April with like 2 home runs, and then he absolutely took off. But he was really the MVP. If Lindor is slightly worse than these numbers, the Mets don't even make the playoffs, let alone the NLCS.
Yep.
All right. Well, the number 1 bull of the year. I'm not even going to show the graphic because it should be obvious. It's me. It's Nestor Cortez. Why would it be Nestor Cortez to be the number 1?
Harrison Bader, number 1.
No,
Aaron Judge is our number 1 bull of the year, as boring as that sounds, because I mean, guys, he was the bull of the week for how many weeks? I mean, there was a spot where he didn't get off the number 1 spot for I think a 2-month time period. But it's just so funny where we were at during the year and where we're at now, where Aaron Judge is the point of contention just for, on the field performance right now. And obviously we're hoping, as Yankee fans, we're hoping that we could see this version of Aaron Judge, or at least half this version of Aaron Judge, show up for the playoffs, because it's so important. But
hey, Rich, real quick. So Cole was number 1 last year, right?
That is correct.
Who was 2? Because this Lindor 3. Was it Alonso? Who was?
No, Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga was number 2 last year. Yeah, I should.
Joe was probably submitting 4 ballots on that one.
But,
there's a lot of mainstays. There's a lot of big names that are kind of caught between the 2 lists. I mean, Alonso, Nimmo, Torres. We got a lot of names here that are between the 2 lists that really didn't have great years statistically. And that's why a lot of names on this list are probably going to be forgotten after this year, depending on what the offseason holds for some of these guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Peterson at 10, Luis Severino at 9, Jose Iglesias at 8, Luke Weaver at 7, Luis Hill at 6. We have Mark Vientos at 5, Sean Manaea at 4. A tie for second with Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge, our number 1 spot, 322 batting average, a 1.159 OPS, 58 home runs. Arguably a better overall statistic season than the 62 home run season. Judge was immaculate in 2024. Corey Favs, first of all, a big shout out to you. Corey Favs, by the way, he collects everybody's rankings and puts it together to form these bi-weekly lists, and now the Bull and Bears of the year. So shout out to you, Corey Favs. I know one theme that we had in trying to figure out the Bears and the Bulls had a lot to do with expectation versus reality more than what happened on the field. Would you say that was probably true among the lists that you received?
I think so. And the other thing that I like too was that when we were putting these lists together and we were basically doing our top 15, and that gave us our player pool. I mean, you have the possibility to get 20, 30, even 40 players. Now, you're not going to get the 40, but we did hit 20 plus Bulls and 20 plus Bears overall. But when you're looking at those lists in our top 10s. Our top 10s were relatively consistent. And again, we could make a debate. Maybe someone had someone 5 and another person had him 10. But I mean, looking at the Bulls, Joe had every Bull, not necessarily the same order, but he had every Bull. I was missing one. I had Carlos Rodon, I think, is my 10th on that list. Tom also had Rodon. I think he had one other missing. Rich, I think you had 2 missing. So considering the player pool to work with, all of us were either 8, 9, or 10 of the 10 Bulls. So I got to give credit to us for being very consistent with the rankings too. But it was a good balanced player pool. And then again, the good part about our rankings with this show is we had our own twist to it. And someone might value expectation over stats, maybe someone's pure stats. And that's the beauty of Empire State of Baseball rankings. That's what makes it unique.
Yes, absolutely. So that's it, though. The last New York Strike Exchange of the year. So we'll be back with that following, I guess, opening day of 2025. So a long time until we see the NYSE. Tom, let's talk about TikTok and then wrap this thing up.
Yeah, real quick, give us a follow on TikTok, Empire State of Baseball. Rich is doing stuff over there. What stuff? I don't know. I don't have TikTok, but I trust Rich is doing something over there.
We got Rivera Rewinds over there, and a lot of the Instagram reels that you've been seeing also have made their way over to TikTok as well as of late. So you go check it out over on TikTok. We're definitely going to have some plans for TikTok down the line, some more content ideas. So just make sure to give us a follow there. All righty, let's wrap this thing up. PXP is going to go live in about a couple of minutes. I'm trying to go live at 8:05 p.m., 3 minutes prior to World Series game number 3 between the New York Yankees and Los Angeles Dodgers. So come through, join the conversation as we listen along to that game, pivotal game for the New York Yankees. And next week, as I mentioned earlier in the show, is going to be our season 3 finale. Can't believe it already. For episode number 109, that's on Monday, November the 4th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to go back to our original start time. If anything changes, we'll let you guys know. But we're going to go to our original start time of 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time for next Monday for our season finale. And then I'll let you guys know what our future plans hold for the off season and beyond. But that's going to do it for tonight's episode of ESB. So let's take it around the room.
Let's get a game prediction. Let's take it around the room with a game prediction.
We didn't do that. That's right.
Winners and score.
So I'll start.
You start.
I want to start. We'll go around and Corey wrap up.
Yeah.
Yankees win today. It's going to be it's a high scoring affair, high scoring ish affair. I got an 8-6 Yankees final for tonight's game, and I got the captain going deep in tonight's ball game later. Tom, go ahead.
I'm going 4-1 Yanks tonight.
Yeah, I'm more in line with Rich. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think you're looking at I'm going to go 9-6 to be a little different than Rich. I think Dodgers get to Schmidt, and I think the Yankees are in big trouble.
I had 8 as well. I'm going to go 8-7. I'm going to say 8-7 Yankees because I do think this goes 6 or 7 games. So 8-7 Yankees, but we'll see. I do think the game is also decided in the 9th inning. So let's get the
series back to LA. Let's get the series back to LA, boys.
I'll do it. We'll see you here next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Let's go Yankees. Take care.